Now that you have the Teagasc Cost Control Planner loaded and working properly on your laptop, today I want to show you how to use the Teagasc Cost Control Planner. First of all, you click on here to open the program. It might take a second to open. Sometimes you just need to watch out that there might be a warning here that you must enable content or enable macros for the program to work. So for today's lesson, I want to kind of just go through the basics of the cost control planner. We're going to focus on the payments out during the course of the year over the 12 months, include the receipts for sales. We'll cover this bit here dealing with milk details, fertilizer and concentrate details, and livestock transactions as well. We won't be focusing too much on the cash flow reports. That's really for another day. So if we want to get started, I would advise maybe following this order when you start to complete your cost control planner. We'll start with the milk details. So we just move down here to the button that says milk details, click on that, and that opens up this window here, or this tab. So this tab here, it has all the months of the year in the first column. We're only really going to focus on these couple of columns here at the start. There's a lot of columns here that we don't really need to focus on. The likes of fat percentage, protein, lactose, cell count, a lot of those are already picked up on your milk statement. They also appear in co-op performance reports. So there's any amount of areas where those are already recorded, and we don't really want to be duplicating work here. So we're going to just focus on the first two columns definitely, and maybe the third column in here with which data goes into. So you can see here, you must obviously have your milk statement to hand completing this here. So I'm going to just open up a milk statement here. This is a milk statement for September 2017. So I'm just going back a couple of years. I've obviously taken off the details of the farmer in question here. And if you have a look here, that this kind of gives a summary of his payment for that month. It's the A plus B minus C method of payment. So there's a column here for the value of the milk sales for that month, and then there's the last column is a year-to-date column. So the very first column that we needed to look at on the cost control planner asked about the volume of litres sold. So we actually go on to the second page here, and you'll see here the amount of litres sold in the month of September. This records all the individual collections for the month. So you can see there was 73,834 litres sold. So maybe that'll be our first entry here. I'll just hop back to the cost control planner, pick out September. So that's 73,834 litres. Put that in there. So the next column talks about the net value of that milk that's sold. So it's the net value after statutory deductions. So statutory means compulsory. If we go back to our milk statement here, the way Lakelands have it done, all the statutory deductions are recorded in the nice and handy in the one box here. The statutory deductions will be the Teagasc research levy, there's a department inspection fee, and there's a bovine disease levy. Three of those levies are compulsory. You must pay those if you wish to supply milk to the co-op. They amount to €145 if you round it up for the month of September. So that €145 has to be taken away from this €31,618 above here. If I just go back to the cost control planner, I can put that figure in here. So after making that deduction, I'll have €31,473 hit return. And that gives me a kind of a net milk price here after this compulsory deductions of €42.63. This column here talks about transport and non-statutory levies. So the transport is something we don't really have to worry about anymore because there's no real haulage paid for now. It's built into the milk price that you get from your co-op. And the non-statutory levies, they would typically be the IFA, ICMSA, and even MOCRA levies. So if we go back to the statement that we were just looking at here, it would typically appear under the general heading. So we've nothing to include on the milk statement there. Interestingly enough, the reason why you need to have every statement to hand here there's going to be headings, maybe deductions that the co-op will stop. This example is a stoppage for progressive genetics, which would be part payment for a milk recording. You'd also maybe see something like the purchase of AI straws or BVD ear notch testing stopped by some co-ops. So it's important that those costs are picked up elsewhere in the Teagasc Cost Control Planner. So I'll just minimize that back down again. And as I said earlier, we don't need to worry about fat, protein, lactose, cell count. They're all picked up elsewhere. One other thing that's useful to try to pick up is the milk fed to calves or used in the house. That's needed for the end of the year to get your total milk solids produced per cow on the farm. So typically you have two options here. You might be recording the amount of milk fed to calves on a daily basis in the dairy or on whiteboard. If you could total it up for the month and do first of all for a weekly basis and then translate that into a month, it might be a handy way of recording the amount of milk fed to calves. Another way is probably just look at the number of calves that were reared on the farm. Let it be 10 or 12 weeks if we're getting 6 litres a day and multiply out by the number of animals. That'll be a fair indication of how much milk is fed to calves as well. So that's the milk details. You needn't worry about getting hung up on some of these different graphs that appear at the bottom of the page. If you just focus on these two columns, and if you have a statutory levy or non-statutory levy, goes into this column here, should really amount to something very small. So that has to be done for the 12 months of the year. To move between the screens here, the handiest way is just always go back to menu. We click on menu here, that'll bring you back to the top. So we've covered milk details. Moving next on, I would suggest maybe the fertilizer details here. So this is a handy screen again, just maybe to save a little bit of time inputting data. There's no requirement to pick the day of the month. There's a drop-down menu from the 1st of the month to the 31st of the month. There's no need to select the day within the month, but you must select the month. So select out February here, and then we can select a type of fertilizer. So, okay, we'll go with urea, maybe protected urea would be a better choice here. We'll just go with urea. Own reference up here, that's maybe you could use this reference as the name of the place where you bought it. So we can say maybe for this example, this is bought from Arabon Co-op. So we're sticking Arabon. We might go with something in the region of 4 tons of urea, and we can say maybe 1460, for example, there. So that's kind of what, if I go into total amount, it's not the price per ton, it's the total amount of money paid, 1460. Translate that into a price per ton of 365 euros a ton. But the second I put in that figure and hit return, you might be seeing this error breakdown message come through. So we have to kind of, this carryover column, as it says here, it's used to record fertilizer, not used at the year end. So that's fertilizer carried from one year to the next. So we're buying urea in February, we're likely to put it all out before the year is out. So put in our 4 tons here, hit return again. And what it does, it copies over the used fertilizer costs on grassland, so the 1400. But you might also see here, it's putting in the amount of chemical nitrogen used in the year, sorry, not in the year, but in the amount of 4 ton of urea. If we go down here, maybe we'll select March next. We'll maybe go for a different type of fertilizer this time. We can see there's a long list of fertilizers. We'll go maybe something 18612. Maybe we'll mix it up a bit here, use a different co-op now. Lakelands here, and we'll go with something in the region of, we'll say 6 tons of 18612, and say money-wise 2280. That's 380 a ton is what that's working out at, and maybe again we'll put in 6 ton again. Now we'll pick another one. We'll just select can, nitrate. If I put Lakelands again, now you can see that it's already automatically populating with Lakelands. It remembers what I typed before. We'll go with 10 ton here, and we'll say 2750. So it's 275. So if I put in, say for example, I put 8 ton here and leave 2 in there, that'll get rid of the error message as if 2 ton is carried over. I try to maybe use up all the fertilizer in the year, not really have anything in the carryover column if I can avoid it. It would be important here, you can't just leave this blank, you must put in March as well. If you leave that blank, even if that was got on one load, say 16 ton load, delivered in one lorry load, 6 and 10, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't just recognize that this is March, this is left blank. You have to select March out as well. So that's if it's all just grassland. There's an extra option here to put in if you have tillage on your farm as well. Once you hit this button here, you might see an extra column has come in. It's a tillage column here. Plus, if you move to the right hand side of the page, you'll see dealing with tillage, NP and K, kgs as well. So what we might just do here is, I might just, for demonstration purposes, we might put 5 ton we'll leave that at 10 ton, and we, instead of putting 10 onto grassland, we'll put 5 and 5 in there. So now you can see it's doing a running total over here. That's the cost of the fertilizer on grassland, that's the cost of fertilizer on tillage. It's doing an NP and K breakdown total for me on the grassland area, and there's an NP and K breakdown on the tillage area as well. So this will be very useful for nitrate records and to monitor how you're going in terms of fertilizer usage for the year. Before I leave this page, it's just important to highlight that there's a little box here at the top that you need to leave tick. And once you tick this box, it'll transfer the money amount or the euro amounts across to the monthly cash flow. And I can just demonstrate that now. You can see here the amount of fertilizer spent on grassland is about 5,100. If I click on menu here, and then just go over here to monthly cash flow record, this is telling you what's happening. And we move down here to, there you go, fertilizer and lime. The stock means for livestock or grassland areas, there's your 5,115. There's a bit of fertilizer that went on the tillage ground as well, being picked up. So it's it's taking the information we put in under fertilizer details and it's carrying it through to the monthly cash flow record. So you'll see that as we go through and demonstrate other tabs, how the same thing is happening. So very similar to the fertilizer tab, we have a concentrate tab just below it. Again, with no need for the day within the month, but we do need the month selected. So the month of February on a dairy farm, we might say for your, this time there's no drop down option to select a type of meal, but we'll say an 18% high, call it high UFL dairy. Okay, we'll say that was purchased from Colombia. And we might just go for, look, keep things simple, 10 ton, and we'll say that was 290. I know it's probably going to be a bit more money than that, but just roughly put that in 3,100, so that's 310. So the second I put that in there, you can see the error message in orange coming through like that. So I need to, you know, break down where that meal was fed. So it's the money, it's the tonnage amount, not the money that we need to break down. So we're 10 ton in there, and that solves that problem. Say later on in the year, I'm just doing for demonstration, month of May, we have a drought. So we'll say you're going to need to, you're going to need to stretch grass on the farm. So I'm going to call it a lorry load of soya hulls, for example, right? Just maybe it's a small lorry, but we'll say that comes from Colombia as well, and we'll say 15 tons. And in this example here, we can say, we'll say roughly, let me see, I would say 2,500. So that's coming to 167. So we have 15 tons that we need to break down. And the reason I picked that is because it could be fed across different enterprises. So again, we might go with 10 ton here, we might go 2 ton to replacement stock, and 3 ton to beef cattle on the farm. So that shows how the money is breaking down. If you just slide across here, you'll see the usage here. So when we come to do a profit monitor at the end of the year, it's important that we know how much meal was fed to each category of animal, and it'd be nice to have a total tonnage fed to dairy cows, and if we divide by the number of cows, we'll have the total tonnage fed per cow for the year. So again, very important that you select a month. If you don't select a month, none of this data will carry through to the monthly cash flow record and won't be picked up. So get the month selected. This is kind of optional and this is optional, but obviously we need to have the money amounts as well. So if I just click here, we're back to the menu. So we have milk, fertilizer and concentrate. I would maybe steer you towards the livestock section next. Just to reduce workload and inputting data, monthly stock numbers, I think we can avoid that completely. There's no need for us to be duplicating work ICBF already can have in their herd plus and reports. They already have the very same report there with cow numbers, replacement numbers, beef animals held on the farm. Maybe if you're keeping some sheep, you could record your numbers there on a monthly basis, but I don't read that too often, to be honest with you. So that's something you need to worry about. What you will have to always a bit in terms of livestock sales and possibly not so much purchases, but click on most dairy farmers have some level of livestock sales. So again, there's a lot of headings here. A lot of them aren't going to be needed at all. We only need to focus on a few important areas. So if we go maybe to the early part of the year, we might say the 1st of March, so 01, 03, hit return. The rest of the day it populates for you. We might say 10 in this box here, and we'll select a group of animals. So stock type, down arrows on the right hand side, click on that and you get your list of animals that you might be selling on a farm. If these were, say, Frisian bull calves or something that were being sold off farm, this is a mistake people make here is they see cattle not a 6-month male, they think that's the job. But actually that's not correct. If they're a newborn, a calf that's reared or a young calf that's only a few weeks old being sold off the farm, that should really appear as newborn dairy calf. So these are small value animals enough. We'll get to that in a second. So you can ignore live or carcass weights, estimated kilo, total live weight. The only column we need to worry about now is the value. The heading here is gross value. I would actually change that around and actually use your net value, what you received for them. So look, we might say that they were born and sold there in early March. They were probably only the goods of 3 or 4 weeks old. Maybe €90 a head, €900 in total for them. Don't worry about these other two columns. If you want to put in a comment here, who you sold them to, you could say sold to Joe Blogs PL. Joe Blogs. So just that's optional again, that comment column. Okay, we'll move on a bit there. Maybe on the 4th of the 4th, we'll say you're finishing a few cull cows that are empty there. We'll say 2 cull cows. We'll find cull cows again. They'll appear somewhere dairy cow sale. So these are cows that weren't in calf and they came into 2 not in total, so maybe €1,100 a piece, and sold to GPAC if you want to put in a note for yourself. Okay, so so on and so forth. If you had we'll put in a date here. Okay, cancel that, that's an error. We'll try that again. We'll put in a date first of all. Say it's October the 10th of the 10th, and you have a heifer that's not in calf, and 1 heifer. Again, it's not really being sold at a beef enterprise. People might make a mistake of cattle, 1 to 2 year old female. That's not where we're looking. We're looking for replacement, dairy replacement heifer, 1 to 2 year old. There she goes. Not in calf, maybe €800 might be as much as you'd hope for there. Okay, so that's the livestock sales covered off pretty well. So really, even though there's a lot of headings there, we're only looking for the first 3 columns plus the value column here towards the end of the sheet. Hit back and menu. The next one is livestock purchase. Livestock purchase, we might be doing very little in that, but we'll look at put in maybe the 1st of March again. What would a dairy farmer be going out to buy? Possibly something like a stock bull. Stock bull is selected there. Again, don't worry about his weight, levies are that. You can put in a beef stock bull, €1,500. Later in the year, we might be saying the 11th of November, and we'll buy 10, looking for in-calf heifers. So these are the dairy in-calf heifers, and they could be costing, writing a check for €14,000 in this case here. So that's simply how the stock are recorded. If I hit menu here, bring it back to monthly cash flow records, you can see the payments going out. So the payments going out for the purchase of stock will appear down here, along with other capital investments here. So there's the dairy replacements being purchased in November. There's a stock will being purchased in the springtime before breeding in March. In terms of the sales of the stock, we can see here the calves that we talked about selling a few minutes ago. This was the couple of empty cows, and this was the replacement that wasn't in calf sold in October. So all that's populating into that page there. So we've covered off pretty well the stock sales and the purchases. I want to bring your attention to the main part of this cost control planner deals with the payments out on a monthly basis. The first thing you do before you jump into any of the months, there's a nice, very handy tab called regular payments at the very top. This regular payments heading is around trying to save you a bit of time by not having to input stuff every single month, the same stuff every single month. So it says here, use the string to enter details of regular payments made over a number of months during the year, and enter these regular payments first or before you start to enter any of the normal payments for each month. So we'll give an example of this here. I might go with, first of all, the most important thing, I suppose, in the business of farming is to make a profit so you can live and put bread on the table. So we'll put drawings. This farmer might have a farm account that and he might have a personal account that he transfers money on a monthly basis from the farm account into the personal account. So we'll say, for example, this family spent about €800. Call it €800 a week. By 4 weeks, that's about €3,200 a month. Put that in there, and we'll put that in as a monthly payment out. We'll say we need that from January through. So optional payment, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. So if there was 3,200 on a monthly basis going out, that's close to 40,000 a year. You can see over here how that populates across here on a monthly basis. So this is where there's a constant steady figure going out at a certain given time interval. So we might select out maybe another example of something that might happen on a frequency basis, is like of a pension or savings scheme. So you could be paying €300 a month into something like a pension fund. So again, that'll cover that out for us. Maybe moving away from pensions and that and drawings, maybe something more to do with the farm. Again, it could be, we have options here for an existing loan or a new loan. We'll go with an existing loan. We'll say €9,000 is the payment, and we're going to try that on every 6 months. So that's twice a year that's paid. And we'll slip that into February as the first payment. So now you can see 9,000 going out in February, and we should have another 9,000 going out in August, 6 months later. So that's generally the gist of how that works. If we wanted to, maybe just for demonstration purposes, one more, we might put in electricity or ESP. So you might be paying that every 2 months. You might be paying it a fixed amount every 2 months. We'll say €700, and just to maybe demonstrate, you can do that every 2 months. So that's 4,200 for the year. And again, that might be, February might be the first one. So you can see February, April, June, what's going on there. So this is really to save you putting in stuff, duplicating work. If you look down here, there is a heading there for an annual payment, but I would suggest that annual is probably not the right place for this heading. This is where it's really save you putting in stuff on a monthly basis or every couple of months. So if we hit to move out of that there is an optional there to put in some additional information around some of those. So you might say that could be, for example, a land loan, just so you could have a number of loans, and some of the rest of them are pretty self-explanatory. So to move off this, update payments and return to pay menu. So click on that there. So once we had that done, you might see then on a monthly basis, some of this stuff is coming through. So these were the 2 payments that we'd already put in on the previous page that were coming through. I think we had actually more in February. If I click down to February, you can see we have 4 different regular payments coming through. So I just can't emphasize enough, you have to really do this regular payment before you start entering data. So we come down to February for a sec. Now we're free to enter anything we want for the rest of February. So you need to kind of take out your co-op statements, take out your checkbook, and see what payments are leaving the farm account in the month of February. So we don't need to get hung up on picking a day within February. I'll just do one for example, for demonstration purposes. This is optional information. I'll just move across here, and now we have a drop-down menu of all the different costs that might be on your farm. So look, for example, I'll just pick the first one, AI. Somebody's picking the bulls early, we'll say straw, AI straws from to here, and say maybe there's 2100 picked up there. So that's how that would appear. You could do another one, contractor stock and contractor tillage. Contractor stock would be typically for silage cut. Now you'd be it late paying in February for silage cut, but we'll call it silage cutting here, and we'll call that 4,500 euros. Okay. So that's basically how it works. What you need to do, what I have developed is a sheet here. It's called an A to a Z sheet. I'll just show it. I'll just pop it up here, A to a Z. So what I've done now is I've organized, is I could think of all from an A to a Z of the different costs that are likely to be incurred on a farm, and the associated Teagasc cost control planner heading, or the e-profit monitor heading, which is about the same. So we've kind of covered off a lot here that I've made available to my clients, that it makes a kind of easy reference for them to know where to find the heading. So if we just go back out to the cost control planner, you have contractor, one that might throw people a bit is if they're doing a development around a farmyard or doing building or that, there is a heading here for new buildings and reclamation. So an example here might be if you're putting in a new slat tank. So say new slat tank, just call it the digging out of that. Separate invoice and that there. That could be maybe say 3,000 euros. Hit return. So you do that, you put in all the costs there on a monthly basis throughout the year, and there's a lot of headings there for the costs out. Fortunately, we don't have as many headings when it comes to money in. So if we move over to this side of the page here, January, we'll select out January. We can select out February, move down through the months. If there was any, the milk details will populate automatically here, and the monthly livestock, any sales for livestock would automatically populate in here for you. So again, we might just show you what's available in terms of headings when it comes to receipts on the farm outside of stock sales or milk details. So a lot of it will really be scheme payments. So ANC or disadvantage payment, that's probably a better month for that, is probably September. So if you can select out September ANC payment, additional information might be 70% advance on that. It's probably actually more when I think about it for ANC, but we'll call it 70% advance anyway. And we'll call that maybe 2,100. So a lot of that scheme, if you go into October, that's the BPS is probably paid out there in October, entitlements payments there. we'll call that maybe 15,000 euros. And again, there's options there to put in some other information around that. If you're doing something like a little bit of agri contracting, or you could put that in here. So if you're doing a bit of bedding or wrapping or something like that, there's no heading for it there. You can put in your own heading there and call it other farm receipts. So we'll call that maybe 800 euros. So basically, what you're doing is the milk details have been picked up and the stock sales have been picked up. So you're just mainly picking up on schemes and that. So it's all, and it's have to fill this report here, which is called a monthly cash flow record. So just click on that there, and it's starting to show all the farm payments into the farm during the course of the year, followed below it by all the payments out. So that's basically it. We'll tackle this another day, but that's just the basic mechanics of how to start and commence work on the Teagasc Cost Control Planner. Thank you for watching.